Welcome to the Between Our Stories podcast. Between Our Stories started as a small group of us friends wanting to tell stories from the most authentic place we could. We wanted to explore the substance of our stories and what lied underneath if we just took the time to dig a little deeper. As we started to explore what this means, we found that there are others that were also on this journey too. Our invitation for you is to join us to dig a little deeper and see what our own stories are offering to us and how our experiences overlap and give rise to the space of the in-between. Thanks for joining us as we explore the spaces between our stories. Oh, look, here we go.
Oh, it's recording. All right, cool. So I'm all right, man.
Yeah. Welcome, Stevie, to the Between Our Stories podcast.
Oh, thank you for.
We've been chatting a little bit, and then we decided to hit record, and then we thought we'd capture some things. So we'll see how this goes, and maybe we'll need to scrap some things in post if it gets
Scrap
too
it all.
real in here,
Sorry.
you know?
Scrap it all. Okay. I guess.
Yeah.
So you just asked me kind of where my story began, and I guess in a sense what poetry meant for me, and I think what I want to respond to that in my most authentic way, because a lot of my finding myself through the arts has been trying to navigate this whole like image, I guess, this whole front of who I am as an artist, as a person, of the work that I'm trying to put out to physical spaces, to rooms of emotions and energy and responsive people, and then also to the media and online, whether that's being featured in magazines or competitions or anthologies or anything like that. After probably, I don't know, 3.5 years to 4 years, I still don't know anything. I think that's probably the most confident thing I can say. And I guess the bit of the tangent from that is I feel like young artists sometimes, maybe, especially if they're diverse or people of color or disabled or queer, feel like there's a certain pressure sometimes to find this list of things you are, and that's what I'm going to be to these people when I write, when I create, when I talk and share my story and my content. But I think, and like as I was saying before, let's wind back. And the reason why I say wind back 3.5 to 4 years earlier is because I'm also very tired. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm very tired of being asked that question. Like, tell me your story. Tell me, where it all began for you and how you ended up here. And I know that's such a privilege also to be tired of that question, because it means that to me like I know what I want from art now. And that's not to be, yet again, the privilege is really speaking, not to be on stage and to be surrounded by people, even though that's fantastic and instant validation, yes, of who you are and your content. I was like, oh, this is great. People are watching me. They're all here for me for 5 minutes. Only me. I'm speaking. They don't say anything. But let's wind back 3.5 to 4 years, and I am this really, really shy. I've just finished high school. I'm finishing my first year of uni. Still trying to find who I am. I'm so lost. I've been brought up in a very traditional Asian household where everything your dad says goes, and you just, head down, bum up, stay in the books, and work to be the most respectful, honorable, and prosperous and wealthy and successful Asian young man there is. I think that was for me. But then you get tired of that. Forget, you just start to feel a bit numb and dull inside. And nothing really brings you the same joy. And, you know, you carry around the pain you do from heartbreaks, from failed relationships, excuse me, to dreams that you don't think you'll ever be able to even step forward to achieve. Probably sounds all crazy.
Yeah.
But, and then you find the one thing that makes you feel like you belong somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess me having such a hard time trying to say this is a reflection of how lost I am from the original feeling of like finding the thing that was beautiful, the thing that was so super strange and almost a bit stupid but funny, but you found yourself doing it and doing it again because it made you feel alive. It made you feel like you had a bigger chest, you had air in your chest, you could breathe a bit more.
Yeah.
You know, everything that you said had a bit of value that you never thought it would. And you start throwing beats and weird rhymes and patterns, and your arms start moving, and and you know, like,
Yeah.
that's what poetry was for 19-year-old me who was really shy and had no social skills.
Yeah.
And then transition 3.5, 4 years later, like I can get up on a stage and probably talk for way too long because I love that. But
Yeah.
I think, oh man, no, I'm really sorry. This is what I mean. Like I've talked about it so many times. And like if I said it again, I feel like it takes value away from it.
Yeah.
It's like, and I say it again. I'm pretty sure I told someone this story like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, last week. Oh my God, I told someone the story last week. Like, take me back to when it was poetry with friends in a cellar in the cellar in Ashton, like with the candle, you know, candlelit lighting and light wine and snacks. Everyone couldn't really see anything, but we were all just resonating with words and our stories. And it was where good poetry didn't really matter, or whatever good poetry is. It was just people coming together to share and support with each other and engage and get to know each other. Like after that, we walked through, you know, one of the gardens. It was late at night, and it was just really beautiful. And
Yeah. So
yeah,
there's like a there's like a connection to the art, and there's a connection to poetry, but then it sounds like there's also this connection to people and a connection to uh like friendship and community that was like budding at the same time. Um
yeah, yeah, man. Oh, that's
and
exactly it.
like so you know, in this kind of like then 3-year journey, did you see those things like get pulled apart? Is that kind of what I'm hearing? Like,
Oh,
because
yeah, oh, for sure, man.
it
Yeah.
sounds like there's like there's a feeling of like inauthenticity or something like that. That's kind of crept in.
Mm.
Um, um, yeah, and I don't know. Like, do you have anything to say about that, or like, give us
No,
some of your
sorry,
thoughts?
I know exactly what to say about it.
You
Oh
know.
my God, I sound so over it. I mean, I guess reflection of probably the best 3 months of my life was getting ready for 2020 Fringe season or 2021.
Yeah,
Soul Lounge did a show called Journey, and it was just a mixture of, it was a multidisciplinary work. It's a mixture of music, dance, and poetry with storytelling from different cultures of refugee, migrant stories, love and high school heartbreak stories, and depression and anxiety stories. Um, and I guess Filipino culture stories as well. And that was probably the best 3 months of my life. I
yeah,
think more or less almost every day I knew I was going to see these people who I was learning their stories through their performance, but learning more about myself because I was among these people and they were sharing stories. So I felt like my story really had a space to kind of exist. And everyone just like, we all showed each other so much love. And I didn't have much money. I could hardly afford food, but I was living on 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 rehearsal food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd moved out, I ran away from home, so I wasn't really connecting with my parents. So I found this small family. I learned I was queer. I learned people loved me as a performer, even though I'm super whack and weird and took my shirt off and started reciting poetry about my tongue and clothes and taste and belonging and existence. But then after that, it was super successful. That was the thing. I mean, not super successful. It was good. It was a really good run. We had 2 show-out shows, had extra capacity added. But I think after that, what happened was everyone sort of went their own way.
Yeah.
I think I kind of got pulled into Asian Australian arts and engaging with other people that I had already known. And, some people went to modeling and some people went to becoming published authors and journalists, while some people continued studying and doing contemporary dance and engaging in that space. And then we kind of all just went our different ways. And I felt from that there was this whole pressure to, oh well, I've had not a bad show. I think I should really go on and try and make something of myself. And I think it starts the disenfranchisement of or the disconnection of that super awesome experience of 3 months with the art and with the people to, oh my God, now I have to go out and try and make a name or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So you're saying from there's a pressure to then I don't know, build something or be paid for your art or make a career out of this thing. Is that the pressure that you felt?
Yeah, man. I think, and I don't know if it's very Asian thing, but
sounds a bit Asian when you say it that way, right?
yeah. No, it definitely was. And to also think oh wow, I'm a bit queer. I'm I'm a bit loud and rebellious. It's not what you see typical Asian people as. So I'd really tried to break through that, and hence came, poems you might have heard at Between Our Stories, like My Father's Cooking. What other Asian dude is speaking about his relationship with his family?
Yeah.
I guess, period. What other very mainland looking Chinese dude is, doing that through poetry and trying to upset. Ultimately, what I'm doing is upsetting, generations before me who we don't talk about this. Why are you doing this? But it's I'm doing this because I almost want to move on from the trauma, the cycle of trauma from the past generations, to be I actually want to be closer to my parents. That's why I'm juggling all these things. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I think it's super real what you're sharing. And I think the emergence of that as well, over time. I'd be keen to I don't know, I'm gonna wind back a couple steps then, just to talk a little bit about what was life like, pre 19 years old for Stevie then, what was life like growing up before you discovered art? And it sounds like poetry was this kind of gateway into all of these other things, to authentic community and an exploration of yourself and to understand yourself better and self-expression and realizing that you're queer and you're loud and you're all of these other things that you never were. What was life like before that, growing up?
Oh, bro. That's a really real question. Thanks for asking me, man. I don't know. I think sometimes I find it hard to say things as they are because obviously I like long stranded metaphors of storytelling. I think honestly it started when I was 16. I was in year 10 and I realized I had all this immense opportunity given to my migrant parents. They've had to sacrifice so much to be here. Especially my dad, he really didn't like it here, and he wanted to go back to China. So that was when I really started to, I don't know, put my head up my butt and be like, all right, I have to grind my, I have to grind. I have to work, my behind off to show my parents I'm grateful, to use this privilege because I should be grateful and make them proud. So I was all books, man. I was study freak. I was, yeah. I would literally have no social life. I would like study until I could not anymore. Like I did my math methods textbook 3 times before my exam. Like I was crazy, and people have heard it, but like yelling and say stocks. I was trying to be house captaincy. I was trying to like I did the GAMSAT or whatever. I got a perfect data. Honestly, stuff that in the long term, just I look at them like, I don't know. I have so many opinions on education in general, but yeah, nah, man.
Yeah.
If I would. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I want to go back that far.
All right. Yeah. Sounds like you were living like the real Asian dream, and then
Oh yeah.
and then something shifted there.
Yeah. I was playing tons of sport. I competed in district table tennis. I played youth league men's basketball at a competitive level, Div 1, Div 2, and stuff like that. And not very well, of course, but I was just working my ass off with everything. Just training 6 times a week on top of full-time uni and stuff like that. I wanted to be that Asian kid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And there's some sort of turn, I imagine. There's some sort of difference, and you've talked about like your poetry and what that's meant for you. You've talked about kind of exploring community, and then like what I know of you and how I've kind of engaged with you is like, Stevie, the mechanic guy who likes cars, and we talk about cars and stuff, and you've kind of ended up at this bit. Yeah, like you've ended up at this part. Like, what's that mean for you? Is that a part of the space? Like I don't know, at least on this podcast anyway, like we have other people who are like really aspiring to go and do the whole artist thing, but it sounds like this is just another part of your story.
Yeah, man. I don't honestly, I'm super glad you see it like that. Yeah, and like honestly, we're here for that. We're here for the other Asian Australian artists and artists in general who are thriving and who are trying to make that space and bring that energy to the community and the scene. Oh, those are such weird words to say. I don't want Soul Lounge anymore. It's okay. I don't have to be like that. um, yeah, like I don't know. I think there was a quote somewhere. Oh, it was Ethan Hawke talking about art in a TED Talk video, I think. It was like 10 or 15 minutes long.
Oh yeah, creativity. He talks about creativity. Is that
Yes.
the one?
Yes. Because it's like you might never need art in your life until you have too many emotions that you have no idea what to do with them. You have to do something where you feel like you'll explode, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was art for me. I had harbored so much emotion from the silence that I'd held for so long of my adolescence, and it just had to come out. I lost, a whole friendship group that still, I guess I'm still grieving over. Just, I don't know, but
Yeah.
to process all of that, and oh, and yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
like like I think I don't know. I think I remember him saying something like, art becomes like the necessary, right, or something like that. When
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
get to those points in life.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like sometimes, some days I'm in such like like such, mental cluster, or I'm just having way too many emotions, or I'm just experiencing all kinds of bodily pain from work. And my go-to is sometimes to just throw on like some instrumental in the car and just start spitting words or start saying things, because that's where I feel safe,
Mm.
in the breath leaving my mouth, and how my lips are moving, and my tongue is, ornamenting words and things like that.
Mm.
I think for me, and I think I'm glad that it is like this, because for me, I think creating and the product is like 5 steps forward that I just really can live without. To me, sometimes it's more so just the process of being in that moment, and like,
Mm.
what metaphor does my brain have for what I'm feeling?
Yeah.
And sometimes I just open a Google Drive document and just like, blah 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 blah, and then I
Yeah.
read it in a like a really pretentious and sad tone. I'm like, oh, that sounds like art. And I'm like, and I listen to it like, damn, I'm really sad. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like almost not knowing what you feel until you see it on the pages reflected before you.
Oh, hell yeah. Like if I read, yeah, 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 yeah. I think, yeah, art, I don't know, art, creativity, expression. I think it gets to me sometimes how young people, or young artists, or people in general, feel like they have to create a certain something. I meet so many people, so many beautiful people, and they say, "Oh, I would never write. I can't write." My mom included.
Mm.
Like, and I'm here. I'm like, there's a book called Everyone Writes. It's the best-selling book for a reason, because everyone does write.
Yeah.
And it's the same. I guess it's almost, it's the same thing for singing or drawing. I think there's this shift in arts now to such like that. Almost anything can be art. It can be abstract art. It can be, sensual or sexual art.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm explaining this really poorly, probably because it's all jumbled in my head.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like yeah, it's like a self-expression. There's something there that uh is is like a part of you being shown to the world.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I might finish with this question because like we're gonna try to keep this in contained, but and I,
So
I feel
yeah, I
like
know.
I feel like I
I've
feel
read.
like we could talk for ages just about this stuff, but um, like I want to kind of finish off with this question, and this is I feel like this would probably be like a little bit more of an appropriate question for you, but um, like tell me about what you think the arts and poetry could do for the Asian Australian community. Like for yourself as a young person, like what if you found art at 12 or you found poetry at 15 instead of 19? I
Mm,
don't know. Would that have
mm.
made a difference, or would that have been like just a shift, or I don't know, like what are your
Mm.
reflections on that, Stevie?
I I think it would have inspired somewhat of a shift. I think what poetry teaches us, when you really find yourself in it, and whatever that means for you, it could mean a lot of things. But I think when you find yourself in it, it teaches you to be patient with yourself. But I think, sorry, before that, most importantly, I think it teaches that whatever your emotions are, even if you think you shouldn't have them, if you even write them down in a rant on your phone and you start reading them, one, you might just realize how beautiful all this held within you is.
Mm.
And the second is that if you read it to a group of people, it might not be super metaphorical. It might not be, you know, filled with alliteration and similes and long extended metaphors. But if you read it to a group of people, I guarantee you will have at least one person who has felt that same way at some point in their life. And they might come up to you. And hence, and now we begin this one moment of the singular connection, which is like, oh my goodness, this one part of me which I didn't think belonged in this world, with the vulnerability, the darkness, and I think and the pain of, of the struggles sometimes, which I think a lot of Asian communities don't talk about, especially not being seen, I guess, as Asian people. That all becomes, oh my God, I don't have the word for it. It becomes beautiful to you. I think. I mean, at least it became beautiful to me, and I think yeah. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I think it teaches. It helps you to see the beauty in yourself, and with patience that comes with listening to yourself and sitting down with yourself and writing what you feel. Beauty and patience. I don't know, man. Beauty and patience.
Yeah.
Which is like a lot of, I feel like, what the Asian community needs is being patient with each other, hearing ourselves and each other, being vulnerable. Like, I can tell you so many stories of Asian Australian people, like of different color tones just coming up to me after my poetry and either like bowing or like silently waving or like shaking my head and saying, "Thank you, bro. I really, I that's how I feel." And I've never heard anyone else say that.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an openness. Like I feel like so much of Asian culture is about like repression and about holding it in and keeping your humility and holding it down. But but in this kind of poetry kind of space, there's an expression and there's an openness. There's a see everything there is, and almost like like the opposite of whatever holding that down because of shame is. Like
Yes.
there's that, and like like for myself, I see Asian culture as cultures that actually have very high EQ. There's a sense of to be a collective society, you have to be able to understand one another and deeply know how someone is feeling. Yet also in kind of, I don't know, maybe it's like more East Asian Confucianism. There's also this kind of like
Oh my God.
suppressing of that EQ. So there's like I need to
Yes.
understand you, but I also need to push it down in a way that like
Oh, Cyrus, go off.
you know, in a way that like I can't do that, and almost like what you're expressing is that poetry was this, like, I don't know, opening of that, like arts is this opening of that, like, and maybe
Yeah,
that's why it
man.
feels so raw. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Hell yeah. No. No, Cyrus, you're on the nail, mate. That's awesome. Oh my God, did I just say mate? Oh. No,
Yeah,
I have
mate.
that epiphany sometimes. Just like, yeah. Because for me, I was drilled with filial piety and the importance of family, like
Mm,
family and everyone. As long as you were in this house, no matter
mm,
what color you are, how old you are, or wherever you came from, you were in this house, you were like treated like family.
yeah.
And then to go outside and and the Asian culture outside is, well, we don't really talk. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't really, like, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a repression of this of maybe the EQ, but like for me, bringing that value of family outside of this home would be like everyone is a sister, everyone is a brother,
Mm,
every older guy is an uncle. Like, I'll do my thing to help you out and
yeah.
stuff like that. I think, and that's just on the surface level of it. That's why, like, maybe it's the autism that's speaking as well, but never understood why people didn't think like that.
Yeah, there's an authenticity in that, I think, of that desire to want to bring that family context like further.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing today, and like thanks for your vulnerability and your insights into this world. Would love to hear more. I'm sure we can chat more and more other in other contexts as well. But I don't know. Any last words? Anything you want to share? Anything you want to plug?
Shout out to Tune Our Stories. I guess a lot of what I've spoken about today in terms of like just trying to find friends and connection through art has been Between Our Stories, finding that Asian connection art where sometimes, we see between the lines of our art. And because we have the experiences of the lived experience and being within the culture of being an Asian Australian makes me feel so seen and supported, that I don't have to be, and I say this over and over again, that I don't have to be that one Asian kid in the arts, because Samuel Lau is now that Asian kid in the arts and he's killing it. But now there's so many people. I'm so grateful for all of them doing such a good job. Alice Yang's new film coming out is going to, I just know it. I just know it. It's going to be so good. Yeah, and thank you, Cyrus. Thank you for having me. I know I haven't been the most concise with my words, which is ironic for being apparently a poet. But no, I guess it goes to show that there's a lot to say about the arts. There's a lot to say about poetry and Asian Australians doing art or trying to do art or not believing they can do art for some reason, where art may or may not change your life, but it's something I think we should all slow down and take a breath and try.
Thanks for joining us as we explored the spaces between our stories. I hope you have been able to see yourself in some of these stories. I hope you have also struggled to see too. What does it mean to be Australian in the 21st century? We want to leave that question with you and hope you see more of that in between.